The central character of the 1980s film Children of a Lesser God is a deaf and dumb girl who is filled with frustration and rage because of her inability to communicate with others. A young speech teacher falls in love with her. It's a stormy courtship, for she cannot believe she is lovable. Late one night, the teacher returns to the deserted school. Desperate to share her world of silence, a world in which she cannot even hear her own screams of rage, he immerses himself in the deep end of the swimming pool, attempting to enter for a little while the cocoon of silence in which she is imprisoned. But then he is simply doing what lovers have always done. They seek to identify with the one they love. This is love's touchstone. Shakespeare writes of two young lovers exchanging eyes. Each sought to see the world through the eyes of the other. Anyone who has been in love will know what he means. The Danish philosopher Kierkegaard wrote a parable about a king who fell in love with a poor girl. How was he to win her love? He could raise her to his own rank, share with her the splendour he himself possessed, but that would testify more to his power than his love. He could, as in a fairy tale, disguise himself as a beggar. But true love, he decides, should not be based on deception. He concludes that his only course is to divest himself in reality, not in pretense, of all his power and wealth. He becomes as the girl herself, as poor as her, in order to win her love. I don't need to tell you that this is Kierkegaard's version of the Christmas story. This is the reality, he believed, that lies at the heart of Christmas. This is what the gospel writers are striving to share with us in their stories of wise men, shepherds, angels, and a poor family having to put up with makeshift accommodation. Matthew and Luke ransack poetry and myth and stretch language to breaking point in their eagerness to disclose the significance of this stupendous event. He came down to earth from heaven, who was the God and Lord of all. He came down to earth that we might ascend to heaven. He shared our humanity, that we might share his glory. But let me tell you of my late mother-in-law's 80th birthday party. She was much involved with deaf and dumb people, and she insisted that the entertainment at her party should include a deaf and dumb choir. Imagine it, a choir which couldn't utter a word or sing a note or even hum a tune. But to the accompaniment of a recording and led by a hearing person, the mute choir used sign language to harmonize with the music and convey the meaning of the songs they were singing. When my mother-in-law told me of her plan, I feared it would turn out to be a bizarre, embarrassing fiasco. In fact, it was deeply moving. For a brief moment, these people who lived in a world of silence entered the world of music. Inadequately, it is true, but for too short a time, this was the reality. At Christmas, from out of the eternal silence, God speaks his word. a word made flesh in the form of a baby, a word which is wordless, for a baby is as speechless as the young woman in the film and those in my mother-in-law's choir. To attempt to respond to this mystery with speech is a futile exercise. Our only response must be adoration. We celebrate Christmas not because we are good, but because we are loved. This is the mystery of Christmas. Love came down at Christmas time. God's word has been spoken. The eternal silence has been broken. The angels sing their song of peace. And if, beyond the fairy lights and tinsel, you catch a glimpse of this mystery and hear but a fragment of this music, your celebration this Christmas will not have been in vain. What shall I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what shall I give him? Give my heart.